I'll send you a picture, Chris.
Okay, I'll get my phone.
All right, looks like the live stream is up and running. So test that out and see what happens. See if the link is correct.
Well, it says here this is the middle of Lost Lake with a little runoff, and that's all I got. There's no picture.
Oh, okay.
Is that you, Walter? Customer, I mean.
Yay, what's happening?
No, I'm just warming up my radio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sounds good.
This is my Robin 123A, I think so. And I got two of these babies. Man, it looks like brand new.
Yeah, but those are not tubers, huh?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir, it is. Now watch, I don't know what, under the meter, it has a range. I'm sorry, expand or something though. Now watch, the modulation goes up, watch. Okay, see, my modulation goes up. Like a booster or something. You there, Hustler?
Yeah, no, I heard the difference. It's working fine.
Hey, Roger, I don't know if I can do it, pressing my mic down to mic. Right there, it's on. Right there, 1, 2, 1, 2. And there's off, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, you worked it. Yeah, it works. While you're talking, you can move it.
Okay. All right, Hustler. I take care though. I like the paint though. It looks like avocado. With silver on front though, and man, it's beautiful radio though. If this radio was a good-looking girl, I would marry this radio.
Yeah, it sounded better whatever it was you had on though.
Okay, is that you, Chris?
Yeah, but what do you have turned on?
Well, I turned it down, though. Well, though, let me see. Right there, it's on. And it says, though, let me, man.
Yeah, that's his range boost.
It says, range expanded or something like that. Like expanding the modulation, I think. I don't know. So anyway, it says on and off.
Yeah, it's called a range boost, something like that there. Sounds good with it on. The other one's kind of tinny. What do you think, Dennis?
I think it's good. If he's able to hang out for about 35 minutes, we'll check it in and talk about it and test it out.
Hey, thank you, Dennis. Yeah, I'm trying to warm it up, though. I got two of these babies. Looks like brand new, though. I just turned it on about 5-10 minutes ago, so I better not talk too much, because the tubes are not warm up yet, though. So, hey, guys, though, I'll catch you later, and take care.
Yeah, give us a call in about 35 or 40 minutes. We'll be talking on the tube radios, and we'll get you checked in. It sounds good.
Okay, sir. Take care, and nice talking to you. Take care, Chris, Hustler, and Dennis. Take care.
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
All right, let me get started here. The old tube radio network, we've got a clear frequency over.
Something about it failed to send it through.
Or not.
Clear.
All right, to get a clear frequency, we'll get started here with the SWL roll call. It is the first week of the new 8-week roster, so I need to, before I can do anything, I have to find a new 00, chosen from those with perfect attendance, and I was supposed to get from the other, oh, there it is. Thank you. Handing me the little thing here that has all the perfect attendees so that we can choose somebody so that I can get things checked in. What is this? M&M's. It's so what I want to know. There it is. What I want to know is what happened. Where's Bozo Control? What happened to the M&Ms that were? I know this was full. I went to Costco this morning. What happened to the M&Ms that were in here? All right. Well, anyway, let me grab somebody out of the mix here so we get started. These are little slips of paper, I guess. We need the big turning hopper with the gal that comes out and pulls the number out for us. All right. Anyway, I guess that's me. Here we go. This is, okay, just one. All right. And our new SWL is, and I think he's done this before because I think he's been checking in probably every Saturday night for the last 30 years, is Wayne, SWL 114. So are you out there, Wayne? Over.
Yes, 114 checking in.
All right, I'm going to check you in as 00 because we have chosen you out of the M&M barrel here for 00. So I get you checked in. We'll also get you as 114. So thanks for starting things off.
All righty. Thank you for the 00.
All right, thank you. Wayne is... you could set your clock by Wayne when he checks in. All right, 00 is in. SWL1 is in. And a reminder, if you're watching ex post facto and you'd like to see the tube radios, you can scroll up the video probably of 40 minutes or so. The tube radios will be checking in right now. Our shortwave listeners, those who are within the range of my voice here at 27085, Channel 11 in the Central Valley for our Saturday evening edition of the Old Tube Radio Network. We'll be checking you in. And also those who listen in on the Universal Media Netweb at oldtuberadio.net. Some of you are also on the shortwave listener list. Of course, you don't need to be on any lists or have any radios to participate in the Old Tube Radio Network. We always like to hear from people with comments and any stations that would like to stop by and say hello. Over to number 1 is in, of course, SWL2. And that's Mr. OBP. Let me check over on the video side. I don't see Kevin just yet. I think the live video stream is up there. Sometimes there's a link. Someone said that it wasn't working, but it should be running, up and running. You can listen to us live on the oldtuberadio.net. And, of course, as some people think, the best way, right over the air here on Channel 11. Looking for SWL3, and I've got a note to check in Rob. Saw him Thursday at the bowling alley. And that was pretty much a disaster for the first 2 games. The third game wasn't bad. SWL4, SWL5, SWL6, shortwave listeners 7. Then we head up to SWL13. I know some of you check in at oldtuberadio.net, so I will keep an eye out there to see who all is out and about. SWL14. SWL15. Fred, one of our net controllers, sometimes checks in on the YouTube page, which you can do. Another way to check in. SWL16. SWL17. Shortwave listener 18. I have a note to check in Mikey from Facebook page, which I will do. SWL19. Shortwave listener 20. Let me bring up, let's see, I'll have the S meter here. So you can give yourself, if you watch the playback, give yourself a signal report with the preamp off. Back to the list. SWL21 from the Wasama Swamps out there in South Carolina. And direct from his engagement this evening over on, oops, things are falling off the table here, over on at the old radio night. Okay, let me get that. And I don't think it's still going on. Let's see what happened. I'm trying to see what the radio, it was the Lafayette, And also it was the Telstat SSB 140 and the Whistler 8-tube reverse preamp with the cool tubes. You took the case off and you could see the tubes glowing. And I noticed, JT, when you were taking some of your semi-old Buzzard transmissions, those tubes would just go brighter and glow brighter and brighter. So I don't know if there would be a time when they would stop getting bright or if they would just keep going until oblivion. Anyway, it was interesting listening and watching tonight. Thanks for checking in. SWL 22. That is Mark out in Texas. So I think he is there. I see Longview on the screen tonight. So, and there, yes, he is out there wishing us all a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, Mark. We'll get you checked in here to the old Tube Radio Network. SWL 23. SWL 24. SWL 25.
Hey, good evening, Dennis. 25, checking in.
All right, I'm still trying to figure out how to do this after 30-something years, but I know I can get you checked in tonight. You are sounding good. Over.
Hey, thank you, Dennis. And, it's been an enjoyable 30-plus years, for sure. So, anyway, keep on doing what you're doing. Sounding good.
All right, will do. And I might try, there's a link to those talking about the video. Thanks, Jerry, for checking in. Maybe I'll resend that video link to the front page because for some reason it's not liking things. I'll have to check which one I'm actually using. Maybe that's the key. I'll do that here coming up after the roll call. Over to page 2, and I'm not, of course, I'm monitoring the crossband, so if anybody else is, you can let me know if someone is checking in there. SWL 27.
Very good, OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
20 being late again. Check me in. Check 2954 84 in the family till he gets his antenna up. And if he's late, or if he doesn't, himself, 135.
Okay, we'll get all of those, including yourself. Got a good copy on you, and hopefully you'll be able to jump back in the radio room when we start glowing in the dark at some point.
Well, hopefully. Finally fixed the receive meter on this Titan 2. It always helps to read the instructions. Okay, we'll check this later.
All right, reading the instructions can be a good thing sometime. Thanks for checking in. We're in the roll call for those tuning in for the tube radios. They will be coming up in about 20 minutes. The glow-in-the-dark radios from 1959, 1958 to about 1978 when they just stopped making them with the glow-in-the-dark parts. But you will hear those radios stop by your speaker tonight. So stay tuned for that. We've got a proxy check-in for SWL 29. How about SWL 30? SWL 31. Trying to get 29 checked in there. There we go. 31, I do believe I did see somewhere on our list of lists here tonight, and I'm scrolling up through to see if I can find Tennessee on there. Let me scroll through. Maybe that was from last week. Anyway, I will be keeping an eye out for Robert and Teresa. Let me say hello to those who are tuned in through the digital modes of some sort, going way up in the balcony there. Spokane, Washington, hello to you, waiting for perhaps those e-skip conditions, which we have got a couple this month when we were on the air. Hello to New York. We've got Iowa, also another New York station staying up late with us tonight, coming up to Kakalaki here when we get to page 4. Hello, Seattle, Washington. A lot of people waiting for that skip to come in. Wisconsin is in. Hello, Kentucky. Woodland Park, Colorado, always listening for the old tube radio beacon. Our digital listeners out there in Squamish, Albert and the gang, Peter, Christian, the dynamic trio, tuning in. Waiting for the conditions, of course. Hello to Dallas, Georgia. Got you checked in. Sounding good tonight on Old Radio Tonight. Santa Clara, California. That's a new one on the list. Unless we have some backscatter, you probably won't hear us ground wave. Centerville, Virginia, coming up to you. Somerville, South Carolina, also coming up to you. Hello to Chile, Minnesota, perhaps. St. Paul. Tuning into the Old Tube Radio Network tonight, where I suppose, and they give us a weather forecast for St. Paul, partly cloudy and 34 degrees at 10:16. Not too bad, I guess, for a November 23rd. Hello to Tulare, California, Southern California, Hermosa Beach, San Jose. We've got the UK listening in, and out there near Yosemite National Park up in North Fork stations listening. There'll be more. Directing that roll call, looking for SWL 32. SWL 33, that's the gang here at Net Control, Bozo Control, the Jingle Singers, who will hopefully be gathering around the microphonium soon to trumpet out what it is that we do here, and myself. SWL 34. SWL 35, Bill is checking in from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Hello, Bill. Thanks for listening in tonight, Mr. Bill. SWL 36. SWL 37.
SWL 37 checking in. Good evening, Dennis.
And good evening. You are sounding good. And if you are radioactive tonight, we will get some radios on the Old Tube Radio list, no doubt.
Absolutely.
SWL 38. SWL 39. And hello to the Google bots tuning in from Mountain View, checking out the live stream and everything else here from the Old Tube Radio Network. SWL 40.
SWL 40 here, and just remember there's a sunset sky show on November 24th. Just after sunset, look to the west and you'll see Venus and Jupiter converging, and the crescent moon will join the show as well. On the 24th, the 27th and 28th, the crescent moon will join the show, yes. But those UFOs that seem to be hovering close to each other, that's just the planets Venus and Jupiter.
Okay, and what was the other event we had? Mercury was passing across the sun, a little black dot that you needed some very good magnification to see. So I think this may be a little bit easier to do. You are sounding good from Chinatown, and all sounds good. Let me also jump over to the video side, which appears to be, some of you are out there. Hello, Ray, we're coming up to you in moments. 81, also we'll be looking for you. Motormouth, all right, now this is a good reference. Motormouth Warren says that Motormouth Mall needs a suit like this. He's got the pipes, and he's got the radio, and he had the antenna. I don't know if he ever redid the monstrous, 60-foot boom thing that came down in the bad weather. But MMM, take note. You can get 200% modulation. This suit is 200% modulated. Actually, this is a 1960s jacket. And I looked at all of the ads. If you look at the ads for amateur radio and some of the CB stuff and in the 60s, everybody is wearing a jacket. And the women are wearing pearls. It's like a Leave It to Beaver episode, and even the kids are well dressed. It looks like everybody just came back from church. So I thought tonight I would play the part of the Old Tube Radio Network, where back in the day you did have to be dressed up to be on the radio. Now you have to be dressed up to be on TV. Actually, you don't have to be dressed up for anything anymore. So thanks, Warren, for that. Let's see. The jacket is a classy tartan. I don't know what this is. I think this is probably from J.C. Penney's. I will have to take it off and look. But this is definitely a look cool in 1960s. All right, there's Robert, SWL31 on the video page. Let me get you guys checked in. What's going up in my Sunday go-to-meeting clothes? Yeah, well, this is just the way, I think, if you believe the advertisement, this is just the way people dressed back in the day to get on the radio. There's the mighty Juliet Whiskey. Hello, John, out there in Iowa listening in. Tennessee's checking in. And Butterbean from Northeast Georgia, probably coming over here from the old radio night where everybody was having a good time. And New Orleans is checking in. That's Lawrence. Hello, Lawrence. And I got to look at that KMX 8683. I used to be KEO 8492, one of those 3 and 4 calls back when you had to pay, what is it, $8 or $20. All right, let me stop talking and get through the roll call so we can get on with the tube radios. But I wanted to say hello to everyone jumping in here on the video and the audio side. SWL 41. SWL 42. Shortwave listener 43. And it's quiet tonight. I have the preamp off, so we'll see if I need to kick it in to hear anybody, but it's so much easier to listen to on the headphonium, so we'll see what happens. SWL 44, been listening in even before we turned everything on here. Ray, you are sounding good from the secret location tonight. Thanks for listening. Then up we go to North Fork. It is not raining yet, Paul, but look out Tuesday. I think the rain is coming. Hello, 45.
Yeah, we need it to get rid of the mud, to make mud, I mean. It's still dusty up here. 45, check it in. You're sounding good.
It is dusty. Get some snow, get some rain, fill up the lakes and everything, and hopefully it will be good. And I think fall will be over. We get that first rain, and the ground gets wet. It will definitely seem like winter here in the Central Valley of California. Thanks, Paul. SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47.
Hey, greetings from the Radio Lounge, SWL 47.
Sounding good from the Radio Lounge, and I can tell by your key up that you might indeed have an item of interest for our radio check-ins coming up.
Yep, this one's hot, and definitely going to take advantage of that.
All right, good deal. Sounds good, and thank you for checking here on the SWL roll call. SWL 48. Keeping up for Sam. He sometimes checks in at oldtuberadio.net. SWL 49.
Hey there, Dennis. Full 49ers waving a hand, doing what I can, and wishing everybody a super fine evening.
So far, so good. It was one of those days that sort of went off track, and I was about 2 or 3 hours behind most of the time, but I managed to get in the air chair almost on time, and so far, so good. Everything is happening. Your signal and audio sounds excellent as usual, and we've got you checked in.
Thank you kindly.
Over to SWL 50. Shortwave listener 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
Sounding good in the general Midtown neighborhood. Thank you, Dave. SWL 52. And let's see. Hello from West Virginia. That is, I'm going to see if I can increase the font size for my other video. There we go. That helps a little bit, I think. Checking in from New Orleans, KM 8653. Hello from New Orleans, if I didn't say so already. Is that Deltona, Florida, in Foreland, yeah, Alpha 4 on the Charlie Bravo. All right, that's a great call for for working all sorts of bands, including 11 meters. Let's try SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis, 53, checking
Mr. Belair, you are sounding good. We've got you checked in. Over.
Thank you, sir.
Radios are coming up here shortly, so don't go away. I'm not sure what we will have tonight. Who will be the most heard manufacturer? I do have some information about E.F. Johnson. We'll talk about that maybe on our first E.F. Johnson radio check-in. Would be a good way to do that. SWL 54 on the cosmic side, in good company with a lot of our SWLs who have or had checked in for many times. Larry is out there making sure that nothing goes haywire, I am sure. SWL 55.
55, checking in.
M&M up in the high altitude, beaconing down, sounding good.
Thank you, Dennis.
And then, let's see, back down here in the flatlands, SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks, and happy Thanksgiving to one and all.
The Turkey Day is definitely coming up, and the traffic is... Anybody drive today in town? The traffic was... What was going on? I thought, is this the portent of the next 6 weeks? But I guess that's the holiday stuff and the weekend before Thanksgiving. And thanks, Phil, for the video on exactly how the old Tube Radio Network sort of came to be. I knew there was a lot of turning of gears and gnashing of teeth, but that your video explained it all. So thanks.
Well, Dennis?
Yes, over.
I didn't know how to post it to the OTR Facebook deal, but if you know how to do it, you're welcome to. You're welcome to do it if you wish. Okay,
I will try that. Seeing if I know how to do it. And Phyllis helped us out many times in cutting those channel 20 crystals, cutting them in half so we can get close to channel 11 here. It keeps things tip-top shelf. All right, thanks for checking in. SWL 57. SWL 58. SWL 59. SWL 60.
Hello, Dennis. Doggone it, we're just looking at this whole Fresno State game. Looks like we're kind of trailing a little bit. 14-7. Nevada's kind of got us in the bind. Hey, happy holidays to everybody. We're checking in this DX2527 for old Big Jake.
Indeed, 2901 on the infamous many check-ins with the DX2527, and the radio and the history is still beaconing strong. So let's see. Let me deduce that Fresno State is playing, Las Vegas, and are they in Nevada or are they here in town?
Nevada, yeah. Doggone it. Well, they're playing here, though. 14-7 right now. We're trailing.
Oh, okay. UNLV, but it's here in town. So maybe we won't hear fireworks if they don't win. I'm close enough to the stadium sometimes that they really make a big ruckus. I've got one of the windows open. You can hear things going. Sometimes if there's a full crowd of, 25 or 30,000, you will actually hear the crowd. But I don't think that's going to be happening tonight. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
And let me pause for a minute. Robert, SWL 31, saying, how do we participate in support of the old Tube Radio Network? You know what happens? I think because of this new streaming thing that is up, that YouTube does, they I guess, expect that everybody who's doing some type of a podcast or something is looking for a way to keep it on the air, so they automatically put some sponsor thing. So ignore, if there's a sponsor thing, ignore that, because, of course, we would never ask for money, and we don't ask for money or anything like that. And the support, and the reason we've been here for 35 years is for people just like you're doing, listening in, chiming in, checking their radios, and it's sort of like that automatic snowball rolling down the hill. It just keeps going. So that is the way to support OTRs. And just be out there, say hello, check in, radio if you can hear us, and we will keep going. There are no money or anything required for that. Although, I don't know, maybe we could take some donations to get a new suit. Although I kind of like this one. It hasn't started itching yet. We'll see what happens. Thanks, Robert, for the inquiry there. Let's try SWL 61.
51 checking in, Dennis.
SWL 61 from his magic location that always puts in a good signal here in the old Tube Radio Network. We've got you checked in, Dean.
Thank you, sir.
SWL 62.
Evening time, Dennis. The 262 checking in from downtown Clovis.
Downtown Clovis, where I don't know if they've put out the Christmas decorations onto Pulaski Avenue yet, but it's probably going to happen soon. Of course, you're sounding most excellent, as you often do. Lucky Lindy. Thank you, Rex.
Have a good evening.
And then SWL 63, Bubba, representing all our stations, listening and beaconing from New York, the land of the big iron and the tall 300-foot rotating tick-ring towers, putting in those big YAM signals down on 75 meters, and probably sounding pretty good on 11 meters as well for those who do that kind of thing. Thank you, 63. SWL 64. SWL 65.
Can I proxy him, please, Dennis?
We will do that. SWL 65. Eric gets the proxy check-in here for the first week on this 8-week roster. Thank you. SWL 66. Shortwave listener 67.
67 checking in.
67. Well, that's a voice we like to hear on the old Tube Radio Network. How are things going?
Just fine. Just come down here to visit. But now I'm on, when you look on there, you're Stampy, Oregon. That's me.
Ah, excellent. All right. I've seen the Oregon station, and I'll have to click on that next time. We'll get the weather report for everybody. Good to hear you live and direct. The E-Skip should be opening up soon, so if you get set up there, you just never know. And always enjoy having our listeners, whether they're digital, live and direct like Bill, or otherwise, saying hello to us here on the old Tube Radio Network. Thanks, Bill. That's a treat tonight.
Okay. Everybody have a good one. I'm out of here.
SWL 68. Shortwave listener 69.
Hey, Dennis, if that's for Ken, let's check him in. I just talked to him the other day there, and he listens in on us on Mondays. For some reason, he can't get it, do it now, but check in 69.
All right, I'll do that. If you're listening, Ken, we've got you checked in, 69 on the list and still checked in, and that's true. We keep the audio archives up for almost forever. That's if you go to oldtuberadio.net and click on the archive and bring up the date and tube or SWL check-ins. And then the videos stay on for a while, as long as it can stand to keep them out there. And you can also watch. Maybe you're watching right now. Maybe it's a year from now and you're watching the video. Hello. This is the old Tube Radio Network. We're probably doing a live show at some point on a Saturday coming up near you. So thanks. We've got Ken checked in. Let's go over to the guy that I think he checked me in Wednesday night, SWL 70. No, I don't remember who the net control was on a Wednesday night, but I know I got checked in. How about SWL 71? And that would require me to go over to one of the screens and say hello to Stan. SWL checking, SWL 71 from Dallas, Georgia. Out there in Foreland, where the conditions are always good. If you've got the right antenna, which Stan's got a pretty decent Radio Shack there for contesting and rag chewing and whatever, so he has no trouble getting contacts. Thanks, Stan. Got you checked in. Over to SWL 72. SWL 73. Shortwave listener 74.
Yeah, Dennis, if you could proxy in Miss Jillian, that would be great. And by the way, I think I solved your M&M's mysterious vanishing. Instead of blaming Bozo, I would look at the jingle singles. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, here's this is the M&M. It's one of those Costco 900 pounds. It's 62, 3 pounds, and it is empty. So, and that's what was handed to me by Bozo Control with the perfect attendance stuff. So I haven't heard from Bob and Steve tonight to find out what's going on the other side of the rack over in Studio B. And we haven't even heard from the Jingle Singers, although it looks like they're firing up for some activity before we start the tube radios. But I would like it. And those are the peanut M&Ms. Those are the good kind. So hopefully I'll be able to wander over there in time to pick some of them up. Thanks for, let's see, we got Miss Jilly checked in. Thanks. SWL 75. Oh, I heard somebody way low. I don't think that was 75. I got the preamp turned off tonight. I may have to kick it in if we get some conditions. SWL 77. SWL 78. And that's Richard up in Everett, Washington. I know we had a couple of Washington stations listening in. Hello, Seattle is still beaconing in. Not sure if Everett would show up as Seattle or not. So I'll hang on just a minute on that. SWL 79. Shortwave listener 80. SWL 81 as we go over to page 4, and I will say hello to, who was it, Louis Nye, who probably wore a suit like this, saying, hello, Steve Areno. And we're saying hello to Mr. Unicorn, Steve Areno, checking in. Just a quick check in, but he's going to sit this one out tonight. All right, if you get a chance, watch or listen to us on the archives, because I have a feeling that, as usual, we will have great radios and great people checking in, like yourself. Thanks. Over to SWL 82.
Can you talk to you in 82 and the other ditch banks of Biola 58?
I will do that. For some reason, I thought he was... I thought I heard him out there. I'm just hearing things. All right, so we'll get Jeremy and Ron checked in here tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thank you, Dennis.
Also, I will get checked in SWL 84. And call SWL 85. And also get checked in the triple play. We've got the triple play from Squamish, British Columbia. Here's the one from Clovis and beyond. And in fact, I think one of these listeners is actually up in Washington, tuning in occasionally. That would be the Paula the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl. SWL 86, 87, and 88 checked in. Over to SWL 89. SWL 90. SWL 92. Don't hear Chuck. I've heard him check in the last couple of Wednesdays here, so I know I can still copy Madeira. Let's try SWL 93.
SWL 93 checking in. Am I getting out?
You are getting out. Over.
Oh, okay, because never mind. It's working.
It is, as someone's German boss would say, it is working, and it's sounding good. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, yeah. No, this SWR meter usually it swings, but it's usually on sideband. I forgot I was on AM. It works the opposite. I'm out.
Well, believe it or not, you still have sidebands when you're on AM. I think, did we discuss this last week? No, we discussed this on the Wednesday night. You still have actually upper and lower sideband going on when you're on AM. So to see that movement, you have to have a external watt meter with a PEP meter reading, and then you will see those sidebands, that sideband audio kicking in. But yes, indeed, you're on sideband right now, but you have an AM carrier inserted, which is necessary when you're talking on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Yeah, but my SWR is supposed to, it reads the SWRs as flat. And usually when I'm talking, I'm usually on sideband, it's usually moving, so it just freaked me out there for a second. So I'm clear.
Yeah, if you switch over to, what is it, not the reflected power, but the forward power, you'll see that forward power moving back and forth. So I got you. You're sounding good. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you much, and I'm out.
Let's see how it's happening over somewhere with Fresno Dave, SWL 98.
Checking in, Dennis.
And it is happening. Hear you just fine tonight, Dave. Thanks for checking in. Over to Mr. Cheesy Easy, 103. Hello, Jeff.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead.
Is this the German boss frequency?
It's going to be a lot of frequencies tonight, and I don't think we've switched. So yes, this is the German boss frequency, and no doubt you talked to that German boss and you found out your 11 meter radio is working.
Well, yes, it is. We're running this experimental setup at the moment. 70 checking in.
All right. Well, the experiment sounds good. I think I got an email talking about power output and stuff, which we can talk about at some point. And like I said, don't get discouraged with that other radio from Wednesday night. It actually sounded fairly decent on AM after the little peeking and tweaking.
All right, good to hear. All right, thanks very much, Dennis. Yeah, we'll be hanging around.
And in fact, it was, well, I've got the preamp on, so I was going to say it's about the same signal strength as this, but I can't tell for sure because I've got preamps and no preamps. All right, we've got you checked in. Thanks for doing that. And wait, were you net control Wednesday? Did you check me in?
I think the guy that used to have a German boss did.
Okay, I misspoke. All right, Jerry, if you're listening, I couldn't remember who was the net control. So Jerry was net control, and I was talking to you after the net. So that's good. I mean, we've got everybody checked in. Now we got you checked in. Direct net roll call. We're coming to the end here, so we can talk with the tube radios, which we will do. Let me see if SWL 109 is out there. SWL 110 from Reedleytown, and I will check the digital side. SWL 111. SWL 113. I think I heard 113 check in on Wednesday. And then the guy that checked in, the guy that got us started off, SWL 114.
114 and Zelda 0 checking in.
All right, the 2-for-1 coupon is good for the next, let's see, 7 weeks. So put it up by the, I think it's a 2,000. Put it up by the radio there, and we'll get you next week.
10 more, thank you.
Let's head over to the digital side. And the big station, the big AM station, FM station, sideband station, I'm not sure. It's probably all mode out there in Fairfax, Virginia. SWL 128. And John Lee, who is listening, checking in, and hopefully the video is happening for you, or some form of the old Tube Radio Network tonight. Good to have you aboard. Locally, over to SWL 131. SWL 133. And there's 133. Hello, Dave, out there in Northwest Fresno. We got you checked in. SWL 135. I've got a proxy in for Mr. Green Arrow, which I will do. SWL 137. Shortwave listener 145, Tony. And he was having some work done on his soon-to-be up-and-coming Yaesu FT101. I'm not sure, we didn't discuss whether it had the AM filter and was set up here for 11 meters, but would like to hear that radio. Let's head over to SWL 147. Neil and the group out there in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Jazz, Dr. Jazz in Kakalaki tonight in the house. Currently raining in North Carolina. Who was talking about rain? I think 21. JT was saying that it's been raining. It was raining all day. We are going to get the rain coming up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or something like that. Temperature is going to drop about 10 degrees, and it will probably feel like winter. Talking about the radios. Radios are quiet. Traces of propagation on the 10-11 band, but not much action. Hope it's better on your end. I don't know. I haven't listened in on anything. I've been super busy. But it seems like when I turn things on, there isn't much happening. And are our sunspots? Are our sunspots still zero? I could probably go to QRZ.com quickly. SFI is 69, SN is 0, the A is 12, the K is 2, and it says all bands are closed. We will hopefully disprove that as we get some band openings with some E-skip. Thanks, Neil, for the report. Let's go up to Coursegold, SWL 195. All right, I will listen. Let me do one more call here. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. What I'll do is I'll kick on the preamp after I make a call for SWL 226. All right, I've got you there, Tony. Thank you, Jim, for the relay. And I hear you now, Tony. I had my receiver turned down a little too low, I think. And this is Dennis, over.
Yeah, it's 145. He says he's getting too much buzz on his radio and he can't quite pick you up.
All right, I can hear him. I turned the preamp on, and I think I heard him even without that. So, all right, if you can let Tony know that he has checked in.
Okay, Tony, you're checked in.
All right, I appreciate the relay. Thank you very much. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
And likewise. All right, I'm going to turn the preamp back down. Any other station that would like to check in before we head over and talk with some tube radios? All right, I'm going to try not to break it. I'll be back in a moment because there's a couple things I have to do to get the tube radio stream up and running. And we'll be back in a moment with your favorite glow-in-the-dark radios. Was that a break for OTR? Over? Maybe not. All right, we'll be back. Oh, 111. All right, I heard somebody calling. Hello, 111. Hello, Robert, over. Yeah, I hear 111 out there. I've got you checked in, over. And if he can hear you up in the hill of Coursegold, let Robert 111 know that he is checked in.
111, you're checked in. All right.
All right. You can see my static is staticky tonight. That's without the preamp. What a difference. All right. I will be back in just a moment. And if you are still listening or watching, this is the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by OTR. Brought to you by 27.085 megahertz. Brought to you by RADI. The Old Tube Radio Network.
The Old Tube Radio Network, where the real radios glow in the dark. Your radios are tube radio collectors who have been joining us for the past 35 years here on Channel 1127 085 as we talk about and talk with those glow-in-the-dark radios, trying to recreate the band, the channels as they might have been when these radios were brand new out of the box. We do a pretty good job of it thanks to our radio operators. Tonight, I am trying to look the part of the radio operator that would have, after switching off Red Skelton or Jackie Gleason, and then heading over to the CB radio and warming up the tubes and having a great Saturday evening, which is what we are going to do. We are listening for radio number 1.
25.
Hey, hello, 25. Let me get in my chair so I don't fall out here, straighten my tie, and I am ready to take your check-in over.
Okay, well, first of all, the Jingle Singers sounded a little funky. I'm thinking maybe because they had too many M&Ms, but yeah, there was something not good about that soundtrack. Normally it's much better. Anyway, that's just FYI. And I am checking in on a Holocrafters, and it is not the FM 1000. It is the CB3A Citizens Band Little Phone. And boy, we're talking on a non-powered D104. This does have the extra VFO on the left side, channel selector in the middle, and then, of course, the single strength meter, which is bouncing around, which is very cool. Doing what it's supposed to do, I guess. And that's about it, Dennis. Crystal controlled, all totally crystal controlled, well, except for the VFO. But transmit is definitely all crystal controlled. And back to you, Dennis.
Crystal controlled transmit as it had to be, as designated by the FCC. Received, not so. There is a shot of the CB3A for those with video capabilities. So you can add that to the great sounding audio that happens out of that radio that is not that close. It is Jerry is not that close here to this QTH. Yeah, you know, that particular jingle is a little bit different. They do a different mix because it's the other studio side with the orchestra and everything. And so I think we still have some microphone technical issues to go. Let's see. Also, Bob and Steve, who make sure that the green room is ready to go and help out the jingle singers, I guess they said they stopped by the Fresno State Winery this evening for a couple of hours with the jingle singers. So I think the combination of classic wine and peanut M&Ms may have had an effect on things. Over.
No, actually, they're still sounding good. They're doing a good job. But I hate to have you blame Bozo for everything. I mean, he's more into peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But anyway, hey, that's about it for this radio. I think it's seven channel crystal controlled. And I know you have a soft spot in your heart about Holocrafters, and so I thought I'd check it in. Anyway, I'm glad this thing's still working, and you can hear me. So anyway, back to you, Dennis. Thank you.
I can hear you just fine. There's the other picture. No, and I do have a soft spot in my heart for Holocrafters. I don't want to I want to talk to the radios. I want to spend a lot of time with me talking, but let me do something, because I just found this. I found this the other day, and let me see. And this actually pertains a little bit to the FM 1000, but if there's any Holocrafters collectors, how am I going to do this? Let me switch to the other camera, which is right here. All right, this is. Can you see that? It's called the Holocrafters Company. It's called the Holocrafters Employees Price List, and it says it's right there, confidential. All prices subject to acceptance, and it's from Oh, effective, here's the price. It's effective December 7th of 1970. My dad worked at Northrop Aircraft, which at some point in the late 60s, Hallicrafters was a subsidiary of Northrop Aircraft. And so being an employee of Northrop, you were also an employee of Hallicrafters. And this is a price list on all the stuff you could get that Hallicrafters was producing in 1970. There's the receivers, the CRX 100, 107. And I was looking to see if the FM 1000 was on there. That might have come out actually after this, or they had discontinued. But that's how I got my FM 1000, was through an employee discount through Northrop Corporation, which was actually the Hallicrafters company. Look at, and here are some of the, for some of you ham radio operators, you will know this. There is the model SR2000. That is called the Hurricane. That was, I don't know anybody else, it was a 2 kilowatt transmitter, 80 to 10 meters. The net price was $1,195. So I don't know if anybody ever sold it for that. The employee cost, so if you were an employee, or if I, back in the day in my 15-year-old self, or however old I was, yeah, probably 14 or 15 at the time, would be $986. That would have been a lot of leaf raking, but there you go. And there's the SR400 Cyclone 2 transceiver, 400 watts, 10 through 80 meters, $895. Employee cost $738. What was that in 1970? Is that like thousands of dollars now? But I found this the other day, and it's still pretty good, and it's still confidential. It is confidential, so I hope Hallicrafters and everybody involved isn't going to get us in trouble. But there you go. That's Hallicrafters for you. Over.
Yeah, okay, Dennis. That's, back in the day, I used to save, Coke bottles when they actually had redemption value of 5 cents a bottle for just to save my money so I could buy the Schwinn Stingray with the slick on it when it came out, and that was probably about 64. But anyway, boy, if you had a Schwinn Stingray with a slick on the back of it, man, you were with the 8-baggers. You had the 8-baggers on it. High handlebars. Anyway, boy, yeah, that's going back in time. The millenniums nowadays wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. Anyway, thanks for checking this radio in, Dennis, and carry on, my friend.
Yeah, there are no such thing as $33 bicycles brand new out of the box. What was the banana seat and was that sissy bar? Was that the thing you couldn't kick your like over? It went up real high in the back and the big handlebars. And my friends had those. I never had one like that. I had like the Sears. I had the one for nerds. I had like the Sears 3-speed, and I did not have a bell. I think I had baskets to carry my my school books. All right, Jerry, sounding good for radio number 1. I want to also say hello to Timtron. Tim up in the Pacific Northwest, listening in, beaconing in. He's one of the few stations that is actually SWL'd us on his radios and his antennas up there in Washington when conditions are good. And I'm dressed like the guys when you see an old ad, Tim. Those old Hallicrafters or Heathkit's ads. Look at that. Everybody's always dressed up to operate the radio. So I wanted to do that for the old tube radio tonight. All right, let me say, we're looking for radio number 2. And I think we have online with this radio number 2 at 8:59. We'll try the other jingle singers after your check-in here for the top of the hour. Hello to our new stations listening in from Riverside and St. Paul, Minnesota. Also checking in, Rodney checking in from South Carolina tonight here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Hi, Paul. What do you have in front of the coiled microphonium?
Okay. Well, my normal little problems with them. I just got this one going again. I lost the VFO on this thing, but I got over the crystal, so I'm still in functioning on the thing. My Demco satellite base station.
Demco. Boy, it's been a while since we checked in a Demco, and I know occasionally there's a Facebook page that focuses on the Demco products, and so hopefully if any of you guys are watching tonight, we've got one for you. And so you call it the Demco satellite. There are a couple of different units. Let me try one here. It says no picture, because there was receiver, base station. I don't know if it has a number. I know I have a picture of the satellite. There was a CB1, but that's not it. There was the 101A TX. Anyway, give me some more information. I'll see if I can find a shot of them here.
Well, apparently I have it listed as Demco Satellite Base Station. I think that's where you have it in your web. But actually, it's a Demco Satellite Deluxe model SPM-4 with a power modulator. Back to you.
All right. For some reason, the photo that's associated with that isn't coming up. So I know sometimes we don't have all the rights to use the photos that we have. So that could be part of it. But I'll see if I can get it. It sounds good. You're moderating the audio. I know sometimes with the Demcos you can run them like the buddy basses. You can really scream them along if you want. But I like what you're doing with that, and I'm assuming you are with that station at least two pieces, and if you've got the modulator, you might have a third piece on that.
Yes, it has a modulator. I'm using the D104 on the thing, chicken choker, and debating how far I should stay. I'm about arm's length now. Does this sound about right to you?
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm thinking maybe I'm on the wrong Demco thing. No, it sounds good. The audio's, it's good fidelity. So even at arm's length, you're doing okay.
Okay. Well, I'll continue on then. This thing is manufactured in 1966, and it's a three-piece with this transmitter and the receiver and then the modulator. So it goes about 3 foot, like I said. It has a 23-channel VFO receiver, which right now is not working. It also has a crystal for it. Will receive and transmit on the thing. This thing is a massive fun. Oh, you got it. That's mine. Yeah, just now look down and see it. Yeah, that's the one. That's what I'm talking on right now. Good. Thanks, Dennis. You can see this. It's a monster. I love it with all the little lights on. The lights don't glow unless you're using that particular mode in the unit. So, but I got about 7, 8 of them glowing right now, which I'm using that many. The rest of them for different things. Very interesting radio. I enjoy it. It's big. It's a little confusing on some things, but it's a good working radio. Back to you.
Yeah, that's when you don't just sit right down and start driving. There's all sorts of peaks and tweaks and things. You want to make sure the receiver and the transmitter are talking to each other. Almost looks like a pinball machine. Is there a slot to put a quarter in that thing? The question, your speaker, I really like that. The speaker, and I'm assuming that the modulator might be built into the speaker because it has knobs and lights. So are you plugging, are you plugging the microphone into the speaker box?
Yeah, the microphone, if I'm getting all this, the microphone plugs into the back of the modulator. But then the modulator switches over to the transmitter on the thing. So it's all tied into that other. There's got a number of wires back there. I took a picture of the thing so I didn't forget how they hook up. When you do this about one every 3 or 4 months, you kind of forget. So I got a picture. I just go follow the picture. I do it the lazy way. Anyway, like I said, it's got a D104 non-amplified mic on the thing. The squeeze. I'm not used to this type of a mic. I like public corners, but it's a good one. This thing, you also set it up for foot control in the back. It's amazing. You keep it with your foot. But well, I tell you, it's just got everything on it, Dennis. Appreciate you checking it in.
Just smooth copy. I don't even have the preamp on, and your audio is smooth and the signal is good. Well, I'm going to I'll go back to the control room S-meter and have you take one more transmission before you go so we can get if you're watching the video, get an S-meter check-in. The Demco satellite base station, probably first out around 1966. The price was just under $400, so it was up there in the top price with, I think, with the Browning at that time was about that price, and probably top of the line tram, it would be putting out $400, which in 1966 was quite a bit of money. 23 crystal control channels, and there is anybody wanting an operator's manual. It says that there is at oldtuberadio.com an operator's manual for that Demco satellite base station. One more time so we can get your S meter reading, and it sounds good for radio too. Over.
Okay. I don't know how far I'm off. It's a little bit. I don't think it's very far off. It's pretty solid, I believe. That's changed on me anything. Oh, like you said, it's $395 what it's sold for. 56. I don't know whether that included the modulator or not. It probably did, but I'm not too sure. I know very little about it. I just have a small write-up on it thing. And when you look at it, I enjoy just looking at all the things on it. Interesting. They had quite a radio, 3 foot long. I don't hardly have room for any more radios on my working bench, on my transmitting bench, so I'm going to give it a couple small ones later on for me. Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks for bringing it by. I clicked on the sideband button. I know it was up or lower. You were right there. Like I didn't change anything. So you're right on frequency. In fact, that should be... We could use that like WWV here for zero beating stations to channel 11. Radio number 2, the Demco satellite base station. And we got lucky. Sometimes we actually have the picture that we show of the station that is transmitting, and that was the case right there. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. And now let's see if the jingle singers in their M&M'd and Fresno State wind-up fancy will sing for us here.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
The Old Tube Radio Network looking for radio number 3. Hello, Jerry. I hear you beaconing here into Midtown Fresno, and you might at 9:07 Pacific Standard Time have radio number 3. Over.
Well, yeah, Dennis, we're going to give I'm glad this is working. It's working, as my ex-German boss would say. And, yeah, we're checking in on the Sonar FS 3023. On the big stock handheld microphone. I think you had a term for it. Back to you, Dennis.
Well, someone told me the the piece of toast microphone. Let me pull up the 3023, which doesn't particularly show the microphonium we're talking about. I think we have a good one on that with the Model G. But this is the one, and I think it was Everett used to call the baby Yaesu. It's sort of, if anybody's familiar with the FT101 series with the kind of gray and silver and the black knobs and things like that, this particular configuration of the Sonar works with that pretty well. Go ahead and take another... I know there's some people also listening. There's another group, Facebook group that deals with the Sonar radios. I think there may be a couple of stations that are refurbing these. Yours sounds like it's ready to go. No refurbishing needed.
Actually, it's pretty sure. You got a little bit of dust on it. That is because I had a chance to dust it off. But yeah, Everett number 8 used to call it the Mini Yaesu. The color scheme is very similar to the 101As or 101Bs. And anyway, yeah, it's a cool little radio. Believe it or not, it was meant for a mobile, so that was back in the days when, you know, you had your GTOs and your Electra 225s and the big old doghouse had plenty of room to mount one of these suckers, but I don't think, nowadays, I don't think you could mount one. I don't know where you would, but anyway, yeah, it would go both both AC/DC and cool little radio. I have a couple FS-23s and another 3023, and they're just kind of in storage right now in the office up on the shelf because I just don't have room out here to put them all out. But I wish I did. But maybe one of these days I will. But anyway, Dennis, thanks for checking in again. The Sonar FS-3023 on the stock, big old piece of bread, handheld stock microphone.
Sounds good. Good signal. The FS-3023 for years and years, and we've been doing this for years and years. The old Tube Radio Network. We surmised as to what the FS stood for. Was it Frank Sinatra? Was it Fun Station? And then I think there was some other FS things that I can't really talk about here on the air. But I think someone finally came up and said it was Field Service, or there was something like that where the FS actually has a true meaning. And maybe the fact that, and you mentioned that this was a mobile radio, and of course it will work for base as well as you're using it. We don't show the mobile brackets here, but that could be where the FS comes in, sort of like the VS vibration service for the general radio telephone. Radio number 3, the FS-3023. And I was looking to see if I had a date on that, and I don't, but I think this is mid-60s, 65, 66, something like that. Sounding good here in the 21st century. Thanks for bringing it by to the old Tube Radio Network.
37. Yeah, no problem, Dennis. This station out there, stand by. Yeah, fun service, I believe. And the only difference I could figure out between the FS-3023 and the FS-43 is the A&L switch is on the front and not the back. Anyway, go ahead, station. Back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to ask you about that. Let me go back to the close-up. If you're looking next to the fine-tuning, also, that was the Delta tune. So there was a top-of-the-line radio with, when it give you the 23 channels, S-meter, A&L, all the stuff that everybody wanted. It's like back in the day when you bought that, like you were talking about, that electric 225, and they threw in radio, heater, and white wall tires. Actually, they didn't have to throw it in because it was already in the car. It was only like a Ford Falcon where you had to worry about whether you're going to get radio, heater, white wall tires. I have a Ford Falcon, and it does not have a radio. It has a panel where the radio should go. It's a plastic insert, a rubber insert with a Falcon on it. So radio was an option, but certainly not on this. All right, thank you. Jerry Ford checking in on radio number 3. And I did hear radio number 4 out there. Hello, Chris, over.
Hello, Dennis. Hello, Jerry. SWL 37 here. Dennis, I'd like to check in this old Tube radio if it's possible.
It is possible because not only do you have an old Tube radio to check in, but you have come to the Saturday night place to be, the old Tube Radio Network that happens every Saturday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard or Daylight Time, depending on where it is, here in Central California on Channel 11, 27085. So go ahead, over.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to check in my general radio telephone, my Super MC11A at 24-channel tuber that goes in the dark. This is the one with the little old man in the wheelchair up there. And this one here is also, I am running this here on the handheld stock microphone. Over.
Sounding good, as it always does. There was a post on one of the Facebook pages, and there was somebody, and I want to say it was a stack of 6 or 8 general radio telephones, and there was at least one Super MC11A in that stack, and I think most of them were the series of Super, like MC8s and 9s, and there was a 12, and all of those have similar chassis to this. I think it's using the ECLL 800 tube. And what else? A 12? Do they have a 12? Yeah, 12AX7's in the audio, so the audio sounds nice. So I didn't follow up on that to see if it actually was for sale, if anybody picked that up, or what. But we have at least a couple here in town, and yours is one of them. So give us another transmission. It always fires up great and sounds good.
Well, it's nice and warm right now. I mean, it's so warm I can actually smell the radio. And you know how you can smell a radio when they get warm? You can smell the heat coming off these things. Because what it is the dust burning off them from the week before. But it's, like I say, you can definitely smell it once in a while, but it seems to be working quite well on everything here is showing it's swinging that way and it's going your way, so that must be the right way.
Yeah, I don't have to do too much. Just sit here with the headphoniums on, and the audio always sounds superb. A great shot from the collection of Cliff, SWO135, who really does some good photos for us, and you can really see the detail. They made, General Radio Telephone made a matching, like a service meter monitor thing that had the same type of slide switch knobs on it. I really like their green background on the channel selector. And this is a, believe it or not, 9-tube radio, 9 tubes in the radio, 24 channels. So somewhere there is and I think we asked you about this before. If you switch it around to the 24th channel, does it actually say CAP or Civil Air Patrol on the dial?
Let me check. Just check.
All right, he's going to go check that. And while I was doing that, I will say hello to out there in New York, Smarty Jones, who often waves a hand here to our tube radio operators. Also, Warren is out there watching, listening. Captain Keyboard, wishing everyone a safe and good holiday Thanksgiving. Thanks, Robert, for that. And we'll see if we've solved the mystery on what that dial, when you click it around, either to on the other side of channel 1 or 23, it's got to say something.
It says CAP. Civil Air Patrol.
All right. Well, how many people bought that radio and thought maybe they had to wear a hat? They had to wear a cap. They had to wear their hat when they were on that channel. Maybe not. Anyway, let me go back to give you an S-meter report, and we'll say take another transmission on our Radio 4 tonight. Sounding good.
Well, I do like that one where, what's his name was, when the aliens come and his family was putting aluminum foil on top of your head. That's all I use. I don't have a hat.
I used to have a little aluminum foil hat thing around here somewhere, but I think I used it to make some grilled cheese sandwiches in the toaster oven.
There you go. Hey, if it works, that's all that counts.
I hope it works, or maybe I don't know if it works. We never can tell. All right, the jingle singers are ready to go once again. Either the M&Ms are taking effect or they are wearing off. The Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Your Old Tube Radio Network. And something just popped up on my screen and it went away, but I think it was X4000. Was in there. Let me get X4000 checked in. And I'm sorry I missed you all today. I was running very late due to broken water heaters and fundraising events at our favorite FM radio station and things like that, because normally I would probably be wandering around the time you came by. So sorry I missed you all, but we will get you checked in. It sounds like you are back to the home station, safe and sound. We are looking for radio number 5.
37.
All right, we've got two checking in. Chris, hang on. Go head up into the green room. There's M&Ms, there's wine. There might be something even better that you would like. We'll be right back to you. You will be Radio 6 if indeed the other station that was in there is going to be Radio 5. Who is the other station? Over.
45.
Yeah, hello, Paul. Step up into the air chair. SWL 45 Paul, and I'll log you in at 9:19, according to the Radio Shack Micronta big digital segmented clock here. Go ahead, over. Go ahead, Paul, over.
I'm sorry, I got some guys up here. It's really trouble. That's a little old machine now. It's not very good on rejecting it. So come back on that, Dennis, please.
Yeah, let me see if I can get to you. Go ahead. You are going to be Radio 5, Paul, over.
Cardi phone, TR326.
we're getting some radios that we have not checked in a while. The Demco, of course, and the CarD phone. There used to be a lot of them. I'm going back 30 years, where the CarD phones would actually be the most heard radio, and they just have all sort of faded away, except for the one we're getting here tonight. So let me see if we actually have a picture of that item, and give me the model number again. Over.
It's a CarTR 326. I think you only find a picture of either. They're just not sand, not in anything. I've only seen about 2 or 3 of them. I got one of them. So I'll back to you.
Okay, there it is. I have a picture of that. It reminds me of one of the other radios, one of the other models that I've checked. Let me go to the full screen of that. And that is from your collection. I'm looking at that microphone, and your audio sounds like it would be coming from that microphone. It sort of looks like it's a telephone carbon element, maybe. Interesting on the S meter. If I get a close-up, I'll see how that's calibrated, and I see we're at 4 channels. If you are receiving me, give it another go and take a transmission.
Okay. This has got wheel in the front. You can increase the power from the front. Let me see. I'm just receiving you just fine, Dan. Let me see if I can pick this thing up a little bit. Maybe. Yeah. A little bit better right there is about all I can do. You just got to about eat this microphone, I'll tell you. It doesn't do any good when you do that either. That's part of the problem. Back to you.
Well, I'm assuming the microphone we're showing is the one that you are using. You haven't changed it to D104 or anything, right?
The same one, exactly. I don't know what the thing is. I kind of think it might have been a Shure. Not too sure. It doesn't have any numbers or letters or anything else. It's hardwired in the same color as you can see. So it's definitely the microphone for the radio, but I don't know what it is. Maybe you do. That's you.
No, I'm going to say it looks and it sounds like it could be a carbon element similar to what would have been back in the telephones of the day. But you're doing a good job with how you're holding it and talking. It looks like it wires directly into the radio, so obviously a little bit more difficult to put something different in that. 6-volt DC, 12-volt DC, which always portends to the fact that this radio is very early on, 1961 to 1962 manufactured, because it's still in the 6-volt systems. Possibilities. And I'm showing 10 tubes on this radio, on the TR 326. Original price of $179, which is actually probably up there for a 4-channel radio, but in line with all the newer 11-meter Class D that came out in around 1960. Over.
Change it a little bit around. This thing's got 10 tubes in it. Little video radio. I'll tell you that Demco, I can put 6 inside that Demco of this same radio, and that's how little it is. I don't have room on my transmitting table for any large equipment anymore after that Demco. Anyway, I was not like saying anything. It's a neat little radio. It is thin sand, and I found one like it. It's a TR327, but the drill is larger on it. So I'm just thinking it might be the insides are the same, but I don't know. Anyway, it's one of those good little mystery radios. Neat little radio, back to you.
Yeah, the CarD phone. I'm trying to think. I talked to a guy on 10-meter AM way long ago. It was a guy up in North Dakota. He does a lot of 10-meter AM, and he was on a modified car. It might have been a TR333, but running, modified for 10 meters. Just he was out in North Dakota at a supermarket parking lot, just waiting for his wife to come out, and fired it up, and I was able to contact him. Of course, this is back when we were having great sunspot cycles. Okay, I've got the close-up. I'm going to go to even more a close-up here. I'm going over to that signal. It's called a signal level meter, and it goes from 0. Like it goes from 0 to 10. I don't even think it's calibrated in the S units, so I don't know if it's dBu or whatever. So that would be interesting if it's working, to give somebody a radio report on that. But again, and we'll talk about this. I've got an article from somebody about what was the 11-meter Class D citizen radio band supposed to be back in 1958, 59, 1960. What was the purpose of that? And so having a signal strength meter was sort of a relative thing, since you weren't supposed to be doing technical talk and hobby communications on this anyway. Back to you. Radio number 5, the CarTR 326. It's sounding good, and put it on the list. It's still working.
Okay, well, I'm glad. It's a neat little radio. I kind of got a hit back there. Once in a while, I forget it just a little. But it's a neat little radio. I like it. And I like it better than hardly any broke or anything, so it must be a little bit rare. And the meter and everything looks like it. It's got a big meter on it. That's one thing good about it. The noise that we do is pretty bad. So a little radio is not bad. Anyway, thanks for checking in there.
And thanks for bringing it by. And we have, thanks for standing by, Chris. I'm going to make a comment. I reset the link to the video, which was actually broken for some reason. So the link that's up there now, if you're at oldtuberadio.net, should be the one that'll take you to the video stream if you're not there already. And Radio 6, thanks for standing by, Chris. I am ready for you.
You betcha, Dennis. Yes. Excuse me. Anyway, this is SWL37 here. Dennis, I want to check in my Chris 23 Plus CB transceiver, 23-channel tuber here that glows in the dark. And listen here, I am running this here with the handheld original handheld stock microphone over.
Original stock microphonium is good. That's what Paul was doing with the Car 326. These radios, especially this chassis, that was used for the Chris 23 Plus, was pretty much produced so you didn't have to pump a lot of audio into the thing. You could use the stock microphone. I'm checking this out. Some of the models, and apparently not this one, had the ability to have a range expander, range boost on there, but for some reason it didn't get put into this particular model. But you sound good with the stock microphone over.
Oh, thank you. No, I've never seen a range boost on this here that I've, of course, haven't really looked at it, but I'm sure if it would have, I would have already found it by now.
Yeah, I don't know. No one's ever said, yeah, it's in there, but they just didn't hook it up. Or you can look in the chassis and say, see that little spot right there? That's where, if they had one, it would be. But the Robin T123, the T23B, which I think is the same chassis as this, I had one. In fact, I was thinking we might hear King Kong out there on his. Yours sounds great for radio number 6 at 927. Give us another transmission and make that modulation light blink a little bit.
Okay, well, it's definitely blinking. Like I say, if I turn it up just right, you could make it blink too, believe it or not. I've done that more than once. But yeah, anyway, this is you know, you talking about the chassis. Now, you know, my G-Power Mate's primary, I think it's identical chassis. Even the outside looks the same. Everything, you know, looks the same, except where the microphone plugs in. And, you know, out there in the headphones is in the back of that one there, where it's in the front of this one. So they're about primarily the same thing. Plus, it's got a receive and transmit light on that other one. For this here just has the one light that blinks at you. It's flirting with you.
Well, it's all, let's see, what is that? I think that's an 11 tube. Is it 13? No, the sideband had 13. So it's 11 tubes. There's an operator's manual at oldtuberadio.com for the Chris 23 Plus. Does it use, what's it modulator? Does it use a 12AT7, a 12AX7? Okay, and looking for the output, 6GH6, 23 channels, synthesized AM plate modulation, they said those are, so that would explain the great audio. Take another transmission, and thanks for bringing it by.
You betcha, Dennis. Well, I'm going to get off this one here and switch over to another one, and I'll be back in just a short bit.
All right. Thank you for bringing it by. I want to see if this link will show up, and indeed it does. And let me go to, I think I want to do that. All right. There's some great posts from Mitch Siegel. I think I'm pronouncing it as I know I'm pronouncing his first name right, but from the Antique CB Radio pre-1977 Facebook page. This is a flash from December 23rd, 1960, appearing in Johnson City Press, Johnson City, Tennessee. And I wanted to see if I could pop this and take a look. FCC warns of hams on CB radio. Federal Communications Commission Field Engineer Frederick F. Sheehan last night said the Citizens Band is not a place for hamming. So what does he mean by that? And this goes back to what I was referring to earlier about what exactly was the Class D service originally supposed to be. Sheehan was speaking before a meeting of interested persons sponsored by the Johnson City Citizen Band Club. The club is composed of those in Citizens Radio Service Class D. The radio band is set aside for personal or business communications. Personal or business communications. Where's my full screen ad? Anyway, in 1958, 59, that's what it was supposed to be for. Sheehan pointed out that the FCC is constantly investigating complaints that the Citizens Band is being used for just gabbing and checking signals. See, they put S meters on there. So why not check the signals? There's a transmission limit of 5 minutes, he explained, after which you must stop transmitting and listen on the same channel before resuming talking. Does anybody remember that? I do. When I first got my license, the channels, especially down in Los Angeles and Southern California, that had a lot of people on them, would time you. You've got 5 minutes to talk to whoever you were talking to, and then you would sign out, and in theory, you were supposed to have a 5-minute silent period. But indeed, someone else would break in and come on and start a conversation, and they would talk for 5 minutes. And then if they went over the time, someone would break. Typically, someone would break in and say that their 5-minute limit had come up, and away it went. But in theory, you are not supposed to be talking, sort of like what we're doing, about hobby community, making it a hobby, talking about, they call it idle chit-chat or something like that. Obviously, you weren't supposed to be running more than 5 watts. You were supposed to be identifying with your station call sign. The rig was station, not the person, like an amateur radio. And or using it for business. So somehow that never, even though I'm sure there were a lot of people that did use it for business band and were using their call letters and did what they were supposed to do, KEO 8492 base to Unit 1, pick up a loaf of bread on the way home, which is what it was supposed to be for. It was probably getting used like that, but back in 1960, already in 1960, it's only been around for, 18 months, and there's some complaints about it being misused. Well, we try not to misuse things here on the Old Tube Radio Network, but honor those radios that may have been misused in our own fashion. We're looking for radio number 7.
Break OTR 37.
25.
All right, 37 and 25. Chris, step up into the air chair, and Jerry, if there's any M&Ms left in the green room, pick up a couple, and we'll be back with you for Radio 8. Hello, Chris.
Hello, it's KBLD 5274 breaking in. I still remember those suckers. Can you believe that?
I can believe it. I was looking for when I was searching for that other stuff, and I found the Helicrafters paper, I was looking for my original call paper, which I could not find. I know it's here somewhere.
Oh, yeah. I believe you. You've been in it too dang long. So, anyway, Dennis, I want to check in this radio if it's possible with you.
It is possible with me because you are indeed on the Old Tube Radio Network.
That is true. I do believe so. But anyway, Dennis, I would like to check in my Courier Royale. The 23-channel tuber that glows in the dark with all the blinking lights and the precious knobs all over this thing, and even the hidden ones in the back. So, and we are running this in here with the amplified D104 Lollipop. Over.
The infamous Courier Royale, one of the triple plays, the Courier, the 23 or the 23 Plus, and the Royale, which was the most expensive of the bunch, probably, I would say, up in the, the high $200 range? Oh, where did it go? Where did it go on my screen? It's somewhere there. Okay, there it is. But it had all the features that supposedly, according to an ad, were requested by the CEO of Courier. This was the radio that was made for the head honcho, and you've got it on your radio desk.
Absolutely. I was sitting here looking at saying which one had the most knobs. This was the Kenwood, and I said, well, Kenwood's got it beat. You got too many. But yeah, no, this in here, it's I'm surprised it just keeps on going at it with that old blinking light on the modulation light there. And, you know, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, I do believe.
It is. Meter-wise and audio-wise, looking at the front panel, SRF, so you switch your meter, and there's a switch on the other side under the mod light. Is that a PA, or is that some type of range boost?
Under the mods, that's switch PA to CB back and forth right there. And below that, you have the headphone plug. Then if you go to the left of that, you got the speaker. Then up there, you got a quieting and a knob there, and it has a sensitivity, what is that? Sensitivity range or something like that. Yeah, sensitivity range. Then you have tone, then value, excuse me, volume, and then it has another tone, you know, for tuning thing. And then it has your squelch on and off and stuff like that, yeah.
It's got everything you need. And I think somewhere on most of the sets, although we determined, I think, that not all of them had this, but there is a microphone gain or amplifier thing on the back. So probably why they don't have a range boost or audio boost is because you have a mic gain switch somewhere.
Yes, it's in the back side of this one here. Actually, it's right. Where's it at? Right? No, that's not it. There it is, right there. It's a little knob that sticks out like there's a little metal knob. You know, the coarse edges all the way around it. Right there, or you can use a screwdriver on it.
Well, all right. Don't use a screwdriver on it because it is sounding fine. You do not need to do that. The audio is good. And it's playing well here on the old Tube Radio Network tonight. Radio number 7, Chris on his Courier Royale. Logging in and doing a good job. So thanks for bringing it by. Give us another transmission before you go. Over.
No problem. I'll get out of here and after I get you saying hello to Jerry again and let him get in there and modulate with that radio he's got over there. I had to turn the volume down a little bit when he keys up now. It would make his ears swell up over there, or his head's throbbing with with glory over there. But anyway, all right, Dennis, thank you, and I'll be back with another when Gary gets through.
All right, we will. We'd like another. We'll take another. Thanks for bringing by Radio 7, the Courier Royale. And coming through the door up into the air chair is Jerry. He's walking in a straight line, so it looks like maybe you just had M&Ms and no wine. Over.
No, I didn't have any. Well, actually, there were like crumbles of M&Ms left, and the wine bottles were empty, Dennis. So I don't know what else to say. Anyway, 25, and Chris, good to hear from you, man. I'm sorry I'm too loud, but I know this is the loud radio. Sonar Model G, crystal controlled, 8-channel, and this is the VFO. And again, transmitting on the non-powered big old Sonar microphone. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
I'm leaving the S meter up here so that stations listening in, so it sounds very loud. You'd think he'd be 20 over. It's like S6. Of course, that's with the preamp off. And we talked about the microphone, which we didn't see on the 30, didn't see a picture of it on the FS 3023, but we definitely have the picture of the microphone we're talking about now, the huge element, the piece of toast. I think that's what One of the guys told me that they used to call those things. But, man, it just, between the engineering on the element and the microphone and their electronics, this radio sounds loud. Now, tell me you're using that stock microphone and not some amplified thing.
Well, I think I'm just talking across the top of it, like Everett used to say. Don't talk into it, just talk across it. And anyway, but this is about half the size of the 3023 or the FS23s. And it was probably, they probably figured out that they had to make it smaller, mobile, because cars were getting smaller. So anyway, yeah, this is definitely designed as a mobile. And actually, one of the options was not to even have a internal speaker included, because there was a quarter-inch jack at the back, so you could run an external speaker. So, but anyway, Dennis, the FS from Sonar Manufacturing, the Model G. Back to you, Dennis.
Model G as in golf, and this has 8 channels. It's got an S meter that sort of makes sense, but it does have the tunable to 23 receive. It's the knob down there on the bottom, and I notice a lot of these tunable. I mean, you get spoiled with the general radio telephones and the Brownings. When you get one like this, it's sort of have the pointer, and there's channel numbers around somewhere on the front case. Do you find it hard figuring out to get the receive where the transmitter is supposed to be, or is there some way to spot that thing?
Yeah, well, absolutely. There's a spot button down there. There's a button on the left. If you go to the VFO, and you go to tune, and I'm trying to do it as I'm talking. I'm probably messing up. But actually, you can turn around on the lower right-hand side. You can go to tune, and then therefore you can kind of like tune around and find a frequency or whatever, and then push the button and dial yourself in. So I get it. Hopefully I explained that right. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
I think so. Radio 8 online with us here. The Sonar Model G sold for $229.50 on its maiden voyage back in the early 1960s. Still sounding good here in the 21st century. I thought I might have had another. Okay, I do have another version of the picture. Let me do that before we go. And I'm on the jumbotron here. Let me back it off a little bit. But there is one more. And this photo shows it. I see a light. There's a bezel on the top. Looks like it's screwed on. It says Sonar. Am I in the right picture? Am I Model G? Yeah, okay. That one, it looks a little bit different. And there's a metal bar or a panel, but I see a light or something underneath. Is that a tube glowing, or do you actually have a pilot lamp in there?
No, I'm not sure what you're looking at, Dennis, but my radio doesn't have that. And unless you're looking at the left of the XTLA switch, button. There's the on-the-air light, but I'm not sure what you're talking about other than that.
All right, this is up underneath the panel. It looks like it's above the S meter, so I'm thinking they might have an external light or something under that panel that lights up the S meter from the outside rather than the inside.
No, well, it may have, but this radio, I need to get inside and replace the globes because it's totally black, other than the fact that the S meter is working.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that, but if you might reach your hand up there at some point when the radio's off, it looks like there's a bulb or some illumination happening that's above and to the right towards the channel selector. So there may be a light bulb up there that's burned out that actually shines down on the S meter. That is probably something that's unobtainable. But it sounds good. So let me go back to the radio S meter chart there and take a transmission. And thanks for Radio 8.
Hey, not a problem, Dennis. And boy, and Chris, good to hear from you. And Paul up there on the hill, wonderful to hear from you too. So anyway, we'll be standing by, Dennis. Back to you. Thank you. And 37, standing by.
Thanks, Jerry. 37, stand by no longer. We'll pick you up here for radio number 9, over.
Okay, and Jerry, it's always good to hear you in there. Anyway, Dennis, this SWL37, and this time here, we're going to check in my pretty blue radio here. The G PowerMate Gem Marine Products. 23-channel tuber that glows in the dark also. Like I said, this is similar to the Chris 23. Just different name on it, I think, and different type of dial for this, for the numbers and everything for the channels. And we also run this here with the amplified D104 lollipop also, over.
There's the bigger shot, and yeah, see, that one doesn't have the range boost. It's got the PACB, so very, very similar to the KRIS 23 Plus. And I think if I check on some items here, it does say that it's the Panasonic chassis, so probably a way that you can tell us whatever microphone that you're using on the Chris will also work on the Gem Marine, I bet.
No, it won't work.
It won't work, huh? All right, they've changed it. They're very, very tricky, very sneaky.
Yeah, they didn't want me to take this microphone, put it on that one there, but I do have a D104 that will work on there. But, you know, I figure why use it when it works just great with the one that's on it.
Yes, indeed. No reason to reinvent the wheel. In fact, I'll talk about that after you're done here. We'll go back to the article we were talking about that Mitch had put up in the CB radio pre-1977 about complaints back in 1960 already about CB radio, and I think excessive audio might be one of them. But yours is not falling into that category at all. It sounds good, over.
Well, thank you. All I care is just so the thing works and gets out across the street.
It's getting out across the street, and thanks to oldtuberadio.net beaconing across the entire universe on the Universal Media Net Web. Radio number 9 here tonight, the Gem Marine Products G PowerMate. Thanks for bringing it by, over.
No problem. Well, you know, I've never talked out of state with this one or any other ones, except for the General, which we used there one night in OTR. I was talking to Washington.
Yeah, thanks to, was it 709 with his great receiver. And that brings me to the next thing. That, until, last year, talking more than 150 miles from your location was a no-no on the FCC. They have dropped that limitation. I don't see anybody complaining about the 5-minute rule, although I'm going to assume that's, if there are still rules, that's still in effect. According to the article that Mitch posted here, another big complaint, the engineer said, is the fact that some license holders loan or transfer their permits to another person. This is illegal, he said, and could cost offenders up to 2 years in prison term or $10,000 fine. I can't believe they would be talking about that much fine back in 1960. That's sort of what's happening today. And even 128, John Lee saying he got it, and I know Harvey got one too. Got a pink slip from the FCC years ago for not using my call sign at sign off. And these were probably the fines that were $200 or less, like $200, $100, $50, when they would go through an area and they would just write you up for the pink, for not using your call sign, for idle chit chat, for illegal amplification. The other one was antenna height. And I think when they would sweep an area, they get maybe 50 violations at average of $100. They would do pretty good. They sort of pay for themselves for the rest of the year. So in theory, the station was licensed, so you couldn't say, well, I'm KEO 8492, so if you want to use my call when you sign on, so the FCC won't bother you, go ahead. But that's not the way it worked. You don't license a person, you license the station. So you'd have to sit in front of that radio and say that call sign and whatever units it was affixed to. Back to the article. Sheenan pointed out that harmonic distortions from CB sets onto aircraft frequencies are worst type complaints since today's airplanes are instrument controlled. Concerning civil defense work, let's see this. Sheenan said that CB units must leave the air during a Conelrad alert. If we ever had those, remember on your radio dial, on your AM radio dial at 640 and 1240, the little circle with the triangle in it, that's the Conelrad alerts. If you've got an old radio, you know it's old because it will have the Conelrad designations at, I believe it's 640 and 1240. You must leave the air during a Conelrad alert, unless authorized to remain on the air by local civil defense authorities. Now we come into the Civil Air Patrol that we were talking with Chris earlier. Any operation of a CB set during an alert must be approved by civil defense. And indeed, some of the radios have the civil defense frequency right in there, assuming that you have the certificate or license to be on the air. Sheenan also pointed out that under no circumstances can a CB unit be used for transmissions over a 25-mile range. Interesting. This is strictly prohibited by FCC Part 19. I believe they changed that, and that might have been in Part 15 because it was certainly more than that. But in the early days, 25 miles. That would be hard to not do that, I would think, if you were in the right spot. All other types of radio service hold priority over the Class D citizens band, he said. These include military, police, hams, etc. The FCC will not investigate complaints where these services interfere with CB operators. Well, talk about being on the bottom of the totem pole. He squelched rumors that the FCC plans to increase power limitations above the maximum 5 watts, and also said he sees no reason why the communication would allot more than the existing 23... why they would allot more than the existing 23 channels to the CB operations. Of course, this is in 1960. Now, in 1974, when everyone is using those extra allocations without the FCC's approval, and there are 4 million people on the air, the FCC sort of decides if you can't beat them, join them. And so they do go more than 23 channels. But that's pretty good. Thanks to Mitch for posting that in the Antique CB Radio pre-1977. And that was from a December 23rd, 1960 post in a newspaper. Remember those? Remember a newspaper? In the Johnson City Press in Johnson City, Tennessee. The old Tube Radio Network. We're listening for radio number 10.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you, though, Dennis, I did get a letter from FCC back in the 70s. It was a quite long one, too. They warned me, either I go down and get my license, or I didn't like the order, so I went and got my license.
Yeah, sometimes they would warn you, and sometimes they wouldn't. The NAL, notice of apparent liability. Typically, when they talk to you and they say, please explain and please respond, you need to please explain and please respond. And that would solve problems. Sometimes they don't give you that option, and I'm pretty much guaranteed that any infractions now are big dollars, and it has to be something that interferes with either selling illegal stuff like amplifiers, or it's interfering with what they talked about back in 1960 with aircraft or public service things that do emergency services. The Jingle Singers are waving their hands saying we are way overdue for an ID here on the Old Tube Radio Network, as it is almost 10 o'clock. We're having too much fun here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11 Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Break OTR.
The break OTR, loud and clear into my headphoniums. Go ahead.
50 checking in.
I will say very loud and clear into my headphoniums. SWL50 will mark you on the big board. And glad you could stop by tonight and say hello to all the Old Tube Radio operators and SWLs. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah, no worries. I might as well check in the old brown bird. It's the only tuber I still got working. The rest of them have failed.
Failure to communicate is not a good thing. Yeah, we miss Larry and Bill and all the Red Monkey guys that keep things moving and shaking around here. Let me put a post, because I don't think we've had the Big Bird yet. And is that the Mark III, or am I going too far down the line here?
Absolutely, Mark III sideband and a stock microphone.
All right, Mark III SSB. If I click on that and go to that, we have a big picture of the dual set. Takes up almost, 3 feet of radio table space unless you stack them. Back in the time when we were talking about when there might have been 2 or 3 million, 4 million people on the air that all wanted this radio, but they didn't make 4 million of them, that's for sure. This would have been available for about $700. Sounding good here for Radio 10, over.
Copy that. Have a good weekend. I'm going to go back and put my grandkids to bed.
All right, here at 10:56 Pacific Standard Time. Some of you out there where it's a Sunday morning staying up late with us tonight, we appreciate that. Thanks for Radio 10. And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
Yeah, number 20, on the Trans Titan 2. There's a finally fixed meter there. You read the instructions. How about that? And it still wasn't working right, so finally, after reading the instructions on how the whole F meter in this particular radio works, I traced it out and found what I thought was the problem. And now you're giving me about a 10 to 12 reading on the meter.
Well, that's good. I always like to sit here and do nothing and have my signal increase, even though we're not supposed to talk about signal strength and things like that in the true sense of the Class D 11-meter citizen radio service. But I mean, look at this radio. Look at this radio. When you look at that radio with rack handles and S meters and knobs and things, tell me that they didn't know that people were being technical and trying to contact more than 25 miles and et cetera, et cetera. It sounds good. I do not have the preamp on. I may at some point as you're talking here switch the preamp in for the receive just for an AB. But the audio sounds good, and I'm glad that I'm sounding better, and ain't instructions a good thing?
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to box this one up, pull away, and then have something, I think next week. I have to check here to see if you need to proxy me in.
You're saying you're going to check to see if I need to do that or I should do that? Oh, okay. And the microphone was squealing that time for some reason.
If I put it too close to another radio, it feeds back into that radio.
Ah, okay. Okay, I'm just looking while you're checking things out here on the video side. I've been Steve saying Fresno State winning 21-14. 10 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes left in the third. All right, because they were down earlier. Thanks for that. Butterbean, yes, I remember you had to ID every 10 minutes. I think that is for ham radio. I'm not sure, and you have to ID at the beginning and the end of a transmission, and or if you're doing an old buzzard AM transmission, 10 minutes during that transmission. I believe the way it is. For broadcast radio, you have to ID at the top of the hour, and the ID consists of your call letters and the city where you are at, where you're transmitting. So your call letter and the city. So it's a little different that way, but theoretically, you have to do it at the top of the hour. That's for broadcasters. Yes, Warren Scott. That's back to the Crown Royal bottle, and I think they did that on purpose on the Courier Royale. And let's see, is that it? I think that's it. Let's see, are you still there, Harvey? Over.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I just had to pull out my schedule, check it. Yeah, Proxy, myself, and all the other numbers in for next week. I'll be working.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. As you know, we are always available at oldtuberadio.net for your break time listening pleasure.
Roger. Okay, I'll probably... Oh, wait. What the heck time is it? Oh, I have a clock in here now. Okay. I guess I won't... Well, yeah, I got time to check the other one in.
Yeah, I'll stick around here. Top of the hour, 10 o'clock. We might try... It looks like they're congregating over in the big studio, so maybe we'll try the big ID coming up. I wanted to also check in. Let me go to the SWL page. Richard, SWL 78, listening in from Washington, up there in near, or I guess Everett, Washington. We put the big 78 up on the screen, and then over to, okay, they're waving me that that they might be ready to actually try something. So let's try it again. The big voluminous fanfare that is your old tube radio network.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The old tube radio network.
Yeah, RADIO. Back in the day, where if you were on the radio and you took a look at the advertisements, this is how you should dress, you know, with your suit and tie. And I think they also had like a pipe or something. I don't have that. If anything's smoking in here, it will be the radios themselves. OTR listening for Radio 11, counting and amounting soon. Thanks for sticking with us tonight.
How about this one?
25.
All right, how about this one and that one? 25. They said there was just crumbs in the M&Ms, but I would look further around the corners. Go down into the chair cushions. You will probably find something. Don't go away, Jerry. Radio 11 sounds a lot like that Browning Golden Beagle. Over.
Yes, the Browning Golden Beagle, R68T68 by Browning Laboratories, back there in New Hampshire, with the custom D104. Anyway, one of my favorite radios, since I picked it up here in Fresno. Okay, back to you, Dennis. Proxy me in for next week, and that should do it for me tonight. Thank you.
All right, thanks. I didn't have to turn the preamp on. It's sounding good. There is a Browning Eagle ad, probably from 1966, up on the video side, like the Mark II. Same size as that, not the big receiver. The big receiver didn't come, until the Mark III version, but still doing a good job. And there's another radio. Can you imagine paying $400 or $500 for that radio and just using it for KEO 8492 base to Unit 1, pick up a loaf of bread? Come on, what was the FCC thinking? You'd be giving S-meter reports and you'd be doing your 5-minute talks and you'd be talking about how cool the radio is and all sorts of stuff. All right, thanks, Harvey, for Radio 11. Radio 12, I hear another bird beaconing out there. Over.
Yeah, Dennis, if you're referring to 25, go ahead.
Yes, I am. I know I probably didn't give you enough time to search through the couch cushions there. Maybe you found a quarter instead of a peanut M&M.
No, actually, I was going down in the sides of the cushions and well, I can't really tell you what I found, but anyway, I found a paper clip and some dog hair, so it's some red hair, probably from Bozo.
so. But anyway, all of a sudden we're getting a barrage of Browning, so I'll check mine into Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB on the non-powered banana bike with the stand, and boy, the red arrow on the light is glowing, and so hopefully it is working, as my ex-German boss would say.
It's working well, as your ex-German boss would say, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. There it is again. And it's not unusual to have the Browning radios kick in right at the end and to be the most heard manufacturer. So we will have to see if that is indeed the case tonight. It is 10:05. I did not get to what I wanted to do tonight because I was hoping that we would have a Browning radio checked in. I'm sorry, Browning. We had plenty of Brownings. An E.F. Johnson radio checked in because Mitch of the newspaper fame from 1960 earlier has a great article, and we'll save it. I'll save it for next week because I know we'll probably get a E.F. Johnson check-in. But just to tease it a little, he's got an article from 1959 from the Indianapolis Star that talks about Waseca electronics firm. Of course, we're talking about E.F. Johnson and Edgar F. and all the people there expanding a $1 million edition back in 1969. And part of that, of course, has to do with the new Class D citizen radio service and manufacturing some items of interest there. So we'll talk about that next week because I want to give it ample time, and maybe we'll be able to put some pictures up on that. So next week when we get our E.F. Johnsons checking in, we will talk about Mr. Edgar and his the Vice President Marvin testing a transmitter. He's we've got a picture of him testing the probably looks like the Viking Whiteface. So before we go, are there any other stations that would like to check in here to the Old Tube Radio Network?
SWL7 checking in.
47.
All right, 7 and 47. Sevens are a good thing. 7, hello. It might have been that let's see, that night tonight. So if it was, I hope. First, I hope a good time was had by all. And if you came home with a little bit more money in that pocket that was designated for the poker tables, then that's a good thing.
It was a good night, fun for all, and yes, I came back with a little extra coin, which made it even better.
All right, good deal. Sounds good. And we've got you checked into the Old Tube Radio Network. Also, when I do, that's a check-in. I can do it that way. That's pretty cool. Let's try SWL 47. Did I not check you in earlier? Yes, I did. So that means that we might actually have a lucky Radio 13 over.
Well, I wasn't going to pipe up, but you said something about Browning intending to check in at the end of the show. And then I think someone else said something about Browning on the amplified mic. And I thought, man, they're calling my name. I got to use this radio. Which is, of course, a Browning for 27 and 23.
That takes us back. That would be our oldest Browning checking in tonight. The previous one would be the Golden Eagle R68 T68. This is the radio that was produced by Browning before that, and this was the first Browning to earn the name Eagle, which indeed it is, the Browning Eagle S23, R27, S23. I don't know what the correct way to say that. If you say it's the S23, R27. If it goes alphabetically, it'd be the R27, S23. Anyway, take a transmission.
Well, I'll take a transmission, not on that particular radio. This one is a Robin for your listening pleasure. I just, earlier today, I got into a conversation with someone, and we were discussing just how to pronounce numbers, like, is it a Browning R27 or a Browning 27 and S23 or S23, or like a Porsche 911 or 911. I don't know, but this one, it's a Robin 123. I guess I've never heard it pronounced any other way besides that. You're not going to say 123, I would imagine.
Robin T123, T123. There's probably not a incorrect or correct way. The other thing would be to perhaps be standing in the Robin factory when they are reading something and see what some head honcho of Robin calls it. That's probably a good way. But I don't think anyone will slight you for pronouncing it because you have put it into the Old Tube Radio Network archives tonight, and I'm going to swap the picture. I'm going to do just what you did to me. I'm going to swap the picture live. So we'll go from the Browning Eagle R27 S23 right over to the Green Machine T123B. Over.
Okay. Well, no matter how you choose to pronounce or enunciate the numerical designations of these radios, they're both just absolutely delightful to use. You know, we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and I think some folks generally choose to, think about things that they're grateful for. And I gotta say, man, I'm grateful for these just absolutely delightful old radios to use. Smell great. You got to think about them. They were definitely not an iPad. They take a little more thought to that, which I'm actually grateful for. And this one is always a difficult radio to use, the 123B. Difficult to use this late at night because no amplified mic, and boy, you just got to scream into it. I'm looking down at the modulation lamp, and it's saying you either need to use an amplified mic or scream into it, which it's going to do neither right now. But you think, man, I'm so grateful. We've been sitting here listening to it. Everyone chimed in this evening, and what a pleasure it is. I'm glad that there's so many radios out there still on the air.
Here in 2019, we started just gathering on this frequency in an informal matter back in, 1985. And here we are still taking our 5 minutes of time, not giving our call letters. Although, actually, there's a lot of people out there that remember their calls, and we've been giving our calls tonight. And at least tonight, not talking over 25 miles or 50 miles, which I guess we can aptly do. But we're having a good time and sort of giving the flavor of how things sounded back in 1965 when this radio was brand new. So I think, or the Browning anyway, and this Robin T123 came out in, I think this was 1972 to 1976 on the T123 because it was a Panasonic chassis, and this is one of the ones that got the range expand dialed in with it. So we're always appreciative here at the Old Tube Radio Network of our tube radio operators that take time out of their Saturday evenings, whether planned or not, to jump into the radio room and take a transmission or two, tell us about their radios, and also now that the SWL's out there watching and listening, also getting them fired up to jump on their radios, whether they're old or new, and get on the air. In fact, Brown Dog Audio mentioning that wishes he could at least get some conditions to chat with us. He's got an old Drake RC4, the Drake Twins. Did they have AM on the Drakes? I know some of the Drakes didn't have AM, or they used a controlled carrier. So we will have to see. I'd love to hear the Drakes. That's why I hope maybe when the Cycle 25 hits here in a couple years, we might have a thing where we try and get on Sunday afternoons on 10-meter AM or 15-meter AM frequencies for the stations that can do that, and hear some of these great radios as well. Mike, you sound good as Radio 13. You sound good as Radio 14. I will pause just to make sure that there's no reason to make you sound good as another radio.
Nope, that's it for me. Thanks, as always. I appreciate it.
All right. And we appreciate it as well. Radio 14. I'm counting and amounting the jingle singers. Where are they at? Ah, yes. I think I know this tune.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
And I will be listening if there are any more check-ins or comments as we count and amount on the Old Tube Radio Network. And Warren mentions about the radio I'm using. It is not, when we first started doing this net, I used the Regency Imperial. What radios did I have? The Regency Imperial, the Yaesu FT101, the General Radio Telephone VS2, the Pierce Simpson Guardian 23. I don't have it up here, but I've got the Hallicrafters CB3A. And when I went to streaming and doing audio, I had to really boost the quality up. So I needed a radio that had a direct audio outline that wasn't a headphone jack. And so I switched to a different radio with the modern S meter you're seeing. I hopefully in the future might be able to switch back to maybe like the Yaesu FT102, which is an awesome, absolutely awesome AM radio. The TS2000 does good AM. The Kenwoods do good AM transmissions, or even in the works here, maybe something that actually does glow in the dark for the transmitter, but for receiving purposes, I had to, and to get a really clear audio stream, because part of this wasn't, at least for the streaming and the video, was for people to actually come back and listen to their radio playback. So we really had to have some very clear and good audio into the sound card. So that sort of dictated what radio I needed to have as my receiver. And of course, as SWL 44 reminds us all, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? That's the tongue twister that I always do before I get on the air and do net control. Listening for any radios before we sign out. Well, I hope we won't be getting any pink slips from the FCC tonight. Actually, what I'd have to do, we had a phone patch in the early version of this. Put the phone patch back up, and maybe we could call the FCC commissioner. He would be so kind to chat with us about the current state of citizen band radio, and if he even knows what the FCC commissioner, is it Ajit Pai, even knows what what CB radio is these days.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final totals. All right, I'm not itching. I still feel pretty good in this 1960s. What was it? Rip Taylor, the comedian Rip Taylor, in my Sears sucker suit. I'm the sucker that bought it at Sears. It works good. Maybe they were right. Maybe all those advertisements were right that show the the gentleman, you know, talking on his radio in the family room, wearing the suit and tie. This makes you feel like you're taking a better transmission. 14 radios total tonight, not too bad. And 51 SWLs checking in with 8 from page 1, 13 on page 2, 15 on page 3, and 15 on page 4. The beginning of our 8-week roster, where those playing the home game, looks like that, if you had one. Oh, I just re-white balanced the camera by doing that. Anyway, that is SWL 114, Wayne, who has been on a couple of times at least. That's what happens when you check in every Saturday for 30 years. You might actually, it'd be like playing the lottery, right? But see, your chances in getting 00 about 1 in 30. That is not the case for most state lotteries, I'm afraid. Let's see, where are we going? Oh, radios, the most heard out of the 14, the most heard manufacturer on the onslaught. I hope that Fresno State is doing the same thing that the Browning Laboratories did at the end of the game. Just come on strong with lots of check-ins or field goals or whatever have you. Browning's most heard radio tonight with 1, 2, 3, 4, it appears. Well, we did start off with the Helicrafters CB3A. I still have it. Where is it? I still have my Helicrafters confidential price list for employees in 1970. For those $1,000, 2,000-watt rigs. Thanks, Jerry, for that. Paul, on the Demco satellite base station. We haven't heard of Demco in a while, and good luck to... Oh man, who was it that is looking for the Demco? So let me scroll back here. But I hope you find your there it is, your 3-piece Demco. I guess they were, you know, or at least, you know, what you can start off is find the modulator and then put it on whatever radio you've got. Used to talk to stations that would do that. They'd run the Demco modulator and just get a few tubes in there. As a DJ lunch there, just get the modulator going on whatever radio you got, and then you can kind of get that Demco sound. Radio number 3 was the Sonar FS 3023 from Jerry, followed by the General Radio Telephone Super MC 11A from Chris for Radio 4. Radio 5, Paul on the CarTR 326. Always like the radios that look like they were built for exactly what CB Radio Class D was supposed to be. And nothing fancy, no big S meter readings. The audio quality, communication style, and it's KEO 8492 base to Unit 1. Make sure you bring that loaf of bread home over. Radio number 7, Chris on the Courier Royale. He had Radio 6 also with the Chris 23 Plus. SWL 25, Jerry on the Sonar Model G. Radio 9, Chris on the Gem Marine Products G PowerMate. Radio 10 was Monkey's Uncle, Mark, jumping in there, checking in on the Browning Golden Eagle, and I got to put that it was a Mark III SSB. Followed by Harving on the Browning R68 T68, the original Eagle, the original Golden Eagle, I should say. Then Jerry on his Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, and Mike was on the original Eagle. That's the R27 S23 combination from 1965, and then the Robin T123 Radio 14 from Mike. So thanks, everybody, for staying up late with us tonight. If it's Sunday morning, hello to our Washington stations, Spokane, Linwood, Everett, Greenwood, South Carolina. New York is in, Wisconsin is in, Virginia's still in. Hello to Central California, Southern California, and on the coast in San Jose. And there's the unknown SWL. That's the station, probably what I should do, since the video is now on. I should be wearing a bag over my head. Become the unknown net control operator. And as many of you have mentioned tonight and are saying, have a great Thanksgiving holiday. We are all thankful for something, I'm sure. And so we can remember that time with hopefully family, friends, or whatever it is we do. I used to have to work every Thanksgiving. I think this is going to be a Thanksgiving that I do not have to work at some facility that never closes. So I might be thankful for that, for sure. Good night, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network returning the Nixie tubes to their proper time countdown and returning Channel 11 back to its frequency.
Dennis, Brown Dog Audio on the chat was wanting to know how you did an OTR number.
Oh, you know what? I think I might have those, and we'll go through the thing. You definitely don't need a number to check in or talk or whatever. You don't even have to have an old tube radio. We welcome anybody to chat, but I think I might have, because this is a new. Oh, you know what? I'm not looking at the right list. The 8-week period, because what we do is we do have numbers assigned for the SWLs. Shortwave listeners. When we started this, a lot of these stations didn't have tube radios, and we wanted to acknowledge our listeners at the beginning of our chat. And so we started assigning shortwave listener numbers, but of course, you can be listening and checking in as well. I'm seeing what's coming up here for Brown Dog Audio, but just by the fact of checking in, you're doing good. I'm looking, I didn't update my list. All right, here's one. We didn't lose a lot of numbers, because if you don't check in 8 weeks, normally we recycle the number. Figure you'll be back and do that. So I have 57. Believe it or not, I didn't think that was available. So Mr. Brown Dog. Brown Dog Audio. I will put Brown Dog Audio in for SWL 57, who is out of Central Kentucky, WWS 1942. I will put that in, and he's got a pair of the Drake 4C twins. I'm taking an old buzzer transmission here. I'm going to go to the database just for kicks. I'm going to call up Drake. I doubt that we're going to have a picture, but it's worth a try. Well, there we go. TR, the 4C. There's a 4C. I almost bought an R. Was it a TR4C RIT 4CW TR4C? See what comes up here. Well, look at that. This may not be the right set. Let me bring it up here. There's an R4C. So right, that's the receiver. Maybe you got one of those. I was curious, and maybe I'll answer my own question here. See, the picture can't be expanded to see if it had an AM. If it did AM, but that's the receiver, so it wouldn't work. All right, I'm going to stop babbling here. Brown Dog Audio, put on the Post-it note, or is it the Dymo label maker, SWL 58 for the old tube radio network, and we'll check you in, call you next week. OTR standing by. Okay, I think that's it. It is 10:27 here. The video's still running if you're watching in the future.
Well, Dennis, we got a real nail biter.
I hope you enjoyed some of our radios. 28-28 on the Fresno State game. And I can't transmit any of that because that would definitely be a YouTube violation. Good night, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and jump off the video stream here.
Anyway, Dennis, it was a great net tonight.
And there we go. Good night, everybody, on the video side. We'll catch you next week on the old tube radio network.